Let's have a show here on a Tuesday. Welcome into the PHNX Cardinals Podcast, your favorite Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Johnny Venerable, joined by the man who helped hold court with Cliff Kingsbury today. And where were you at? Scottsdale, Paradise Valley? I'm
just about
Maricopa, and you're having breakfast with Cliff, or not Cliff, with JG.
Right on the outskirts of both Scottsdale and Paradise Valley. I mean, it's right there in the heart of Phoenix. It's the Biltmore Resort, where the NFL owners, the only resort fit to host a couple billionaires, some Billies coming into town, plus some GMs and some head coaches. We talked to Jonathan Gannon. He broke down a ton of Cardinals storylines that we've been following, answered some questions as far as free agency, the lack of movement there, the NFL draft, Isaiah Simmons, Kyler Murray, and this unknown wide receiver named DeAndre Hopkins.
Did you have Eggs Benedict? What was the spread at breakfast today? Most importantly, what did you eat and what did JG eat?
Oh, well, no. So it's not the same as it used to be, because it used to break bread together. Used to hang out and the coach would eat his scrambled eggs or however he gets his eggs done. But now it's just like, just sit there and you talk football, right? You just sit there and you fire away questions. It's
just talking.
It used to be an hour. Now it's I think 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes before, but it was a half hour today. We sat down, talked to JG. He's excited, rearing, ready to go. We can't wait for the players to hit grass in 2 weeks from today in Tempe at the facility. So, it's exciting, man. I mean, it's just like everything else, though. It's hurry up and wait, and there's still remains a lot of storylines, a lot of things surrounding this team that they have to figure out before that happens.
Well, JG, with you and the rest of the members of the media, touched on a bunch of topics, right? And the topic I want to start with was the fact the team basically didn't participate in free agency. And he had a very famous line that is now kind of gone viral here locally. It's like, you're not winning anything in free agency. You're not winning games in free agency. What did you make of that comment, Bo? Because I know a lot of the fan base, we would love to see some signings of note. The Cardinals, clearly, with those comments, feel like this is a franchise moving in a new direction, draft and develop, as opposed to sign and prosper.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we've brought to kind of our audience a while ago when we were kind of just following the lack of movement in free agency and the mess that, Monti Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon were tasked with cleaning up, right? And the way to do it isn't doing the same thing that the previous regime did and trying to fill holes that were created by poor drafting and development. What they want to do right out of the gates is they want to clear any kind of future monies tied to guys who aren't going to be here when the Arizona Cardinals become relevant again, right? Once they kind of make their way on the other side of this rebuild, once they're Andy Dufresne and they're going through the sewage, right? They're going through 300 yards of sewage to get out on the other side clean. They don't want to have to be tied to any okay, let's fill a hole type free agent contract for a guy that, you might probably overpaid for on the market, where you much rather successfully draft somebody and develop them. And they're going to do that this offseason, gearing up for the 2024 offseason. But in the meantime, taking their controllable assets, flipping them for future assets in draft capital, and then hopefully hitting on those draft picks and moving forward. So, as far as free agency goes, let's hear it from Jonathan Gannon. This is what JG had to say about they weren't exactly trying to be active in free agency.
Don't win any games in free agency, I know that. I feel really good about the pieces that we added. We had a very clear vision of why we added them, and we know why. They know why they're coming here, which is huge to me. They know their role and what we're gonna ask them to do and how we're gonna ask them to fit in. And I'm excited to get to work with those guys.
Good comment there. Really good comment by JG. They know their role. They know why they're coming here, whether they're supposed to be a leader, future captain. I think Kazir White could be a captain, or, hey, you're here to play special teams and give depth and show these younger players how to do things. Arizona Animal hitting the nail on the head. Free agents, in a lot of ways, take away snaps from guys you're trying to develop. See the last 8 years under Steve Keim. I mean, it feels like purposely, and we could be naive. We got to see it to believe it. We got to see it next fall. We want to see 10 plus rookies getting snaps, but the outline is there. They want to be able to draft a bunch of good players in April and say, go win those jobs. There's nothing standing in front of you. We want to work with you. We want you to learn on the fly. These are live reps that you can't replicate anywhere else but on the field. And that's something Vance Joseph, God love him, I hope he does well in Denver, could never grasp here.
Right.
It's like Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons get better playing. Byron Murphy gets better playing, and all of those players saw their snaps greatly reduced under Vance Joseph as top draft picks. And that was unfortunate, right? It may not translate to immediate success and wins with this franchise come September, October, but man, there's no better time. Kyler Murray's not playing. There's no better time than to flush your lineup, Bo, with young linemen and young corners and young pass rushers and just kind of see what you have.
Yeah, I like this take from Arizona Animal, just saying free agents just take away snaps from guys you're trying to develop. See the last 8 years under Keim. Now, at one point there was a window where this team had it open where they had hit on some draft picks, where they had some guys from the previous regime and Rod Graves that were developing and were primetime players for that team. And then they hit on a trade for a quarterback, and they had a good coach and Bruce Arians, who was bringing in guys he was familiar with that knew their role, just like Jonathan Gannon outlined, guys that were going to come in and know exactly what the organization needed from them right away, what their role was going to be. He talked about Zach Pascal on the offensive side of the football. You got Kazir White on the defensive side of the football. You got Yelda Frodeholt, who can play a couple different positions on the offensive line. These guys aren't saying, okay, I made my way as a backup in this league, and now it's my time to start. No, it's like they know what specifically this organization is looking for from them. And Monti Ossenfort, the first thing I learned about MO before when he signed to become the GM here was he is a guy that was relentless as far as the free agent waiver wire. And it's not just a guy looking at film and saying, hey, here's a good football player. No, it's, hey, here's a good football player. And this is how he matches up with the way with the scheme that the coaches want to play. And how he's going to fit that scheme. And, people can be skeptical. And I even cautioned ourselves about this. It's like, we don't know much about Monti Ossenfort, especially, how he's going to draft as a first-year GM. But, Jonathan Gannon, I asked him straight up, it's like, what have you seen from Monti Ossenfort as far as the guy who does his homework on prospects or free agents? And it's going to get you excited. It's got to get you excited as an Arizona Cardinals fan, because this is what he had to say about Monti.
Yeah, he watches a lot of tape, which I knew he was going to. I said, Monty, we're off today. He goes, I'm never off. But I like how he does things. I like how he views the game and how he watches guys. And he'll bring me in and he'll say, hey, what do you think about this? And I'll give him an answer. And he would say, well, think about this. This is what I'm seeing. And it's been eye-opening. I've learned a ton from Monty already in the month that we've been together. So it's been a pretty cool deal.
Did Cliff Kingsbury ever say, man, I learned so much from Steve Keim? Oh, man.
No, they were simpatico. It was just kind of applied, right?
He was just an endless resource of insight.
They went to country music concerts.
Yeah,
together.
They did. Yeah, they were there. They were cheering on Blake Shelton at Country Thunder. Yeah, that's great. But did it result in fruitful draft classes? No. I'm never off. That's what Monti Ossenfort said to Jonathan Gannon, who's about as dialed in as you can get. And then you got a next level with a guy like Monti Ossenfort coming from the Belichick tree. And sometimes that's a 4-letter word because there's not a whole trail of success there. But to hear that your new GM is sitting there relentlessly breaking down film, and your coach has got to tell him to take it easy. And he says, I ain't taking it easy. I got a job to be done here. That's got to get you pumped as an Arizona Cardinals fan that you got the right guy.
This is getting me pumped. Picking Spreads, $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Picking Spreads. I mean, look at the 2 Super Bowl teams, Kansas City, Philly. Look how many rookies played amazingly and helped them win a Super Bowl. Also, the Eagles O-line was the best O-line I've ever seen in my life, and they drafted all of them. I mean, the Cardinals, they got to a Super Bowl once upon a time because of Kurt Warner, but that 04 draft class, right? Dansby and Dockett and Larry Fitzgerald. They drafted Anquan Bolden. They drafted Adrian Wilson and Antrell Roll. Like the team, when they've had their most success, they've hit it in the draft, right? And they need to get back to doing that. We went through the roster the other day on this program via Spot Track and via overthecap.com. There are very minimal building blocks for this team. I mean, we can overvalue talent. We like guys. How many guys do we love on this roster? Not enough, and especially not enough that the Cardinals have invested premium picks for. I mean, Bo, perfect transition segment here. JG, Jonathan Gannon, talked about Isaiah Simmons today. I thought said all the right things,
Mhm.
but I'm seeing articles basically predicting that he's not going to get his 5th-year option picked up. He shouldn't get it picked up. I don't think he's going to get it picked up.
Mhm.
What did you make of JG's comments on Isaiah Simmons? Because so far they've been pretty glowing.
Yeah, I mean, let's listen to what Gannon had to say. It's a little bit more insight, or not insight, but he felt more comfortable saying he knows how he's going to utilize him. He wouldn't completely say it, but this is what he said about Simmons.
It's a very unique skill set. A lot of guys that look like him can't do what he can do. So just excited to get on the grass with him and see what he's comfortable with what we're going to ask him to do. And just excited to see how he fits into what we're going to do and help us win games.
Is that something you have to see?
A little bit, because even though we might have a vision for him and he might say, I can do this, this, and this, let's make sure he's comfortable with what we're asking him to do mentally and physically. So that'll take a little bit of feeling out from both sides, but we got time before we line up in week 1 in September. So I'm not going to rush that. We're not going to rush that, but really good communication with Isaiah. He got good news about his health. So he's going to be here and excited, ready to go.
You have to like that they're realistic about how they want to approach utilizing such a versatile player, instead of saying, oh, he's so versatile, let's just show the world how versatile he is. You can cover Travis Kelce, can't you? Let's do it. Let's see how you cover Travis Kelce. You got the skill set. And then what's Travis Kelce do? He absolutely just feasts on Isaiah Simmons week 1, and it gets him benched for the next 2 weeks, basically. That they're realistic. Like, what's he going to look? We're not going to, commit to this full throttle, but we're excited about it, and we think we've got a good plan for him, but then we're going to see how it plays out on grass. There's been good communication. He's been telling where he feels like his strength is, and then, obviously they're like, well, this is how we want to utilize you. So there's good talk so far for Isaiah Simmons, but does that sound like somebody they're willing to say, yep, let's invest a $12 million deal for 2024 in this guy? Not so much.
No. And listen, they don't prioritize that position, the position we believe he's going to play, which is inside linebacker. And again, let's wait till they get on the field, because guys like Bo and others will be there and they'll tell you what position he was playing. Just like when Bo was at training camp every day last year and Isaiah Simmons was with the safeties and corners, but they were listing him at linebacker. And then you would have these arguments on Twitter. No, the Cardinals want to play him in the secondary. They played him at slot corner. It was a disaster. I've been told by somebody close to Jonathan Gannon, Gannon thrives with these kind of reclamation projects. And Simmons may not be a reclamation project guy out of football or something like that, but he did get benched at the start of his 3rd year. I mean, Isaiah Simmons now can come into a position with, okay, I'm just playing for money. I'm playing for a job. I'm playing for my team. And I'm playing for a new coach that sounds like he has belief in me. Let's not worry about 2024. And I think that's a good way to go about it with Simmons. Even me, one of the biggest Simmons critics, I do feel like just go out there and play good football. And I think the rest will take care of itself. Don't worry about, are the Cardinals going to pick up the option? Are they going to sign a new extension? Are they going to trade him? It's like, get on the field, find a position that you're comfortable in, win over your coach, and play good football. And I think Isaiah Simmons will be fine. Now, do I think he'll ever live up to the 8th overall pick? No, of course not. We've talked about that ad nauseum, but that we've moved on from that. It's just, these are not Gannon and Monti Ossenfort's players. So, I mean, in a weird way, they don't owe them anything, but they're going to give them opportunities to come in and see if they fit. Just like a lot of the coaches, like Jeff Rodgers, that they allowed to stay on staff. It's like, okay, you fit, maybe you don't fit. We're going to pivot from you, and Simmons falls in that same category.
Yeah. And Pick and Spread's pointing out, like, look, Travis Kelce, the greatest receiver or receiving tight end in NFL history, right? Absolutely. And I use that as a point, like, to how unrealistic the previous coaching staff was with 100%. How they were going to utilize Isaiah Simmons. It's like they say these things, they wanted to do this, and then they didn't know how to go about making it happen. They were just like, hey, this guy's got an unbelievable skill set. It's got to work against a guy like Kelce. And it just, there's more to it. You got to have, there's more as far as what goes into trying to slow down and take away a Travis Kelce in a game plan. And I feel like it just was very lacking. It lacked any substance outside of Isaiah Simmons, great athlete. Just imagine him him covering tight ends. It's going to work out where he was never given the tools from his coaches.
Simmons could be flawed, but at the same time, I will fight anybody who doesn't believe he was put in a position to be unsuccessful. He was never put in position to be successful from the minute he got into the NFL. He had a pandemic offseason, so the Cardinals literally met with him at the Combine, didn't touch him again until August when they got on the field for training camp. And then the first game against Kyle Shanahan, he has a misdirect or misses Raheem Mostert out of the backfield, and Raheem Mostert takes it for a touchdown. And what did Vance Joseph do? Instead of being Bruce Arians and putting his arm around him on the sideline, says, you got to be better, we got to make changes, Vance Joseph benched him for like 4 or 5 games.
Right.
And took snaps away from him. That's unacceptable. I'm sorry. That's not what I want for my coaches anymore. And that, I don't think that's what you're going to get. You're going to be allowed to make mistakes for this new regime because they have no choice. They want to be draft and develop. If they were the old regime, they'd be signing every Joe Blow, middle 30s, early 30s guy to take critical snaps away from a Will Anderson, a Tyree Wilson. And then the minute those top draft picks make a mistake, off the field.
Right.
And a lot of that would happen in training camp. It wouldn't even happen in the games because the rookies never played. So yeah, you're going to have to eat a little bit of, I don't want to say like non-success, but I would rather take my lumps with young players and prosper November, December, January.
Right. And look, I see Hans saying Simmons is Reddick 2.0. Actually, Simmons has done more in his NFL career than Reddick even did going into his 4th year. I mean, Reddick had 3 different defensive coordinators. He was playing different positions and making very, very little impact, where he was on the bubble to make the roster going into his 4th and final season under contract with the Cardinals after they declined his 5th-year option. Chandler Jones goes down early in that season. He racks up 12.5 sacks. And then unfortunately, due to that good season, he becomes a decent commodity. You didn't get the bag on the free agent market. He goes to Carolina, plays under his college coach, Matt Rule, and then gets the bag from Philly the next offseason, and then becomes a defensive player of the year candidate. I mean, there's the talent there. But here's the thing that they were able to figure out, and credit, to VJ in this circumstance, the role that was going to fit Reddick best, right? That he could just focus on it. It was just getting after the passer. And if that's what's best for Simmons, because for 3 straight years, this is to his discredit, VJ, and the entire organization, is they've continually had Isaiah Simmons drink out of a fire hose as far as his role and what he needed to do as far as processing information. They never simplified it. They took
no other player in the NFL does that. No
they
one
took
ever
away playing time. But that didn't simplify what his role was on a down-to-down basis. It was just a complete mishandling of a very talented player. And the new regime can't pay for those sins, right?
No,
they don't have the luxury of doing it, right?
It's not their fault. They didn't do that. They didn't draft this
They just
kid.
have to roll the dice. The smart move, the best NFL business move is don't pick up the option and you hope for the best in his 4th season under contract.
They will give him every opportunity to win a job. And I know for a lot of fans, he should be anointed, give him accolades. He had a robust stat line. We talk about it all the time. Go look at his ESPN page. He's got a ton of quality statistics. To Bo's point, he's accomplished more than Reddick had up until this point. But like Reddick, they played him at inside linebacker. I mean, he wanted to rush the passer, I would presume, and they wouldn't play him there because they were staunchly committed, just like with Simmons. They drafted him and sold Michael Bidwill and company. This is a unicorn prospect. He's going to do everything. When in reality, that position, that player doesn't exist in today's NFL. Just find one singular. The Cardinals don't have enough good players, and they haven't on their team to be able to say Isaiah Simmons can just be all over the place. No, like they need an inside linebacker. They need a safety. They need a corner. They need everything. They need a pass rusher. So that to me, the Simmons situation is so fascinating, because we are going to see what Gannon presumably wants to do with him as early as OTAs, where they're going to have him in a position, whether is he going to be next to Zaven and Kazir White? Is he going to be with the safeties? Is he going to be the 3rd safety? I would presume, though, his days of playing slot corner are mercifully over, Bo Brock. You would hope.
$12 million is not nothing, especially when you look at where Monti Ossenfort, his background, teams he's been part of the front office for. They don't spend that type of money on outside on stand-up linebackers, right? And as far as Jonathan Gannon and the guys that he coached in Philadelphia that had success, and guys in Indianapolis that he was part of that defensive coaching staff, it was guys on their their rookie deals, or guys that they brought in that were second, third tier free agents, the Kazir Whites. I mean, TJ Edwards was an undrafted free agent. Sure, he got the bag this offseason, and that's a testament to JG and Nick Rawlis, but it's not nothing. It's not something you just say simple, just sign off on it, write the check, let's do it. It's an investment. It's an investment for a new front office that's gearing up to rebuild this thing, and to have a guy in on a potentially another. You would just go from this being the contract year to trying to figure out what it is in the fifth year. It's just I think it's a risk. Like, what if he's just the same guy? I mean, I think that's probably, as much as you want to be optimistic about his skill set and JG and Rawls's ability to get the most out of him. It's like, what's shown you enough to say, hey, give him $12 million?
If he's the same guy, they'll be sitting at January, February, March at this time next year, the owners' meetings, trying to unload Isaiah Simmons for an exchange of a draft pick, 6th round pick. And they're probably thinking, we are not in the position to do that. We want to hedge our bet right now. He'll be under contract. We'll go from there. We're going big places with our friends at BetMGM. We have teamed up with BetMGM this season, and we're going to be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks and special offers for our listeners each week. And I'm not sure if you guys have heard or not, but coming this fall, game days with PHNX Cardinals are at the MGM Sportsbook at State Farm Stadium. Home games, away games, watch-alongs, hangouts, parties, events, giveaways, drink and brew specials, drink specials, food specials, bags, whatever you want to do. If you're on the Great Lawn, come on over. Bo and I are going to be hanging out at BetMGM Sportsbook on the State Farm Stadium lawn every single Sunday. And no better way than to kick off the relationship with BetMGM is to use the bonus code PHNX when you sign up with the BetMGM app, and you're going to get up to $1,000 first bet offer when you wager at BetMGM, the BetMGM app. Here's how it works. You got to download the app. You sign up with bonus code PHNX. You deposit at least $10. You got to put a 10 spot down and place your first wager on any game. You can do it right now, NBA, March Madness, whatever you want to do. You're going to receive up to $1,000 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use the bonus code PHNX when you sign up. And get this, friends, to kick off the partnership, we're doing a massive watch party. I'll be there. Bo will be there this Saturday at 2 p.m. at the BetMGM Sportsbook at State Farm Stadium. Come watch the last stages of college basketball playout. They're going to have food and beverage specials, giveaways, massive TVs to watch the game. Plus, if you register and place your first bet with promo code PHNX when you sign up, you'll receive, get this, a PHNX t-shirt. Roll that disclaimer.
Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan. Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan. Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan.
Unbelievable.
Lots of good stuff happening here.
You know what's cool? Little fun fact. Shane actually read that in one breath, and he passed out. Yeah, and he's dead now. Actually, he died. But unbelievable job by Shane Deef there. Also, you mentioned at the Final Four watch party, you can bet your sweet backside that they got Four Peaks on tap. We were out there taking in the BetMGM Sportsbook out in Glendale at State Farm Stadium, and they've already got Wow in Kilt Lifter on tap. It's glorious. It flows like wine. It's just as delicious as it is at 8th Street in Tempe. You got to check it out for yourself. Or check it out in Tempe. Beautiful spring weather out there. Go sit on the patio. Go take in, those Final Four games if you don't want to go out west and hang out with us. You're passing on a good time, but still getting a good time out at Four Peaks. And also check out some of the other events that they have at Four Peaks and their event calendar, fourpeaks.com/events. Like tomorrow, we're going to be hanging out there. We're going to have plenty of beers ourselves, plus great food. I know our crew's just pumped to have some chicken tendies. I personally, I like their garlic cheese beer bread as an appetizer. Their chicken rolls go crazy as well. Excellent. And then, as far as entrees, you've got the beer, the beef beer bread. It's unbelievable. You can go chicken beer bread. They got the flatbreads. They've got the desserts, and then they've got the bourbon barrel beers are unreal as well. You got to check them out. Four Peaks. You got to be 21 years or older, and of course, enjoy it responsibly.
I'm hungry thinking about all that. I'm hungry for more insight from Jonathan Gannon as well. And he talked about Kyler Murray, Bo Brock, did he not? And I feel like based on his comments alone, I feel like Kyler Murray, we're going to be waiting a while. Did you get that sense?
Yeah, I mean, he reiterated what he told you and I at the Combine, that he's got to be 100% mentally, physically, but as far as where he is for his rehab, he continues to attack his rehab. That's the word that they describe it. Talked to a surgeon in Dallas, and he's ready for the next phase. So, and the next phase is getting into the maybe throwing around some weights and you're doing some strength training as far as that knee goes, and starting the rehab part of that rehab process. So that's great news. But along with that is staring down who's your starting quarterback for the 2023 season. And on the roster right now is Colt McCoy, your incumbent backup quarterback who started 3 games in each of the last 2 seasons. He went 2-1 in 2021, and then he went 1-2 in 2022 and got kind of his ass kicked. I mean, the guy had, as far as he had a neck injury, he had the concussion, right? He had to get the MRI on his head, and then he also had the calf injury, and then he had a undisclosed surgery this offseason. So, at 37 years old, not getting any younger. There's Colt McCoy. You kind of know what you're getting. He's kind of the quintessential backup, but another year in the NFL, like, he can win you 3 games, he can lose you 3 games, right? You get the good with the bad, and then you got David Blau, who's kind of had a cup of coffee with Detroit, had a cup of coffee with the Cardinals at the end of last season before getting injured in the finale. Like, those are your options. Gannon says that they're excited. They're chomping at the bit. They asked Drew Petzing for their playbooks, but still it doesn't inspire a whole lot of confidence for Cardinals fans right out of the gate.
Well, yeah, I think it's the most frustrating aspect of this free agency period, because you can make a case for all these other positions. Well, don't block a rookie, don't block a young player. You need a quarterback to be able to fill in for Kyler Murray. We've known that for how long, Bo? We've known that as an organization for 4+ months. So I would have thought, outside of Kazir White, like, your big priority needs to be coming in and finding somebody that can take snaps in September and October, presumably. And again, everything that we're hearing about Kyler Murray, rehab's going well. He's going to make 100% recovery. We don't know when we're going to see him. So you need to make sure you've got somebody that can win you games with a roster that, let's call it, is in transition, right? Are you going to sacrifice Colt McCoy again or David Blau to the Wolves to the NFC West with this kind of skilled player, this position unit, this offensive line? That's concerning. I was a big advocate in finding somebody, and I know this is what they prioritize, somebody that can move around. So you can run the football, boot, play action, QB draws, QB sneaks, keep the defense on its toes. That's why we knew they were negotiating with Joshua Dobbs. It's like, do that offense, right? Smoke and mirrors until Kyler comes back. I know what Colt McCoy is. He's an old guy. He can't move around. He's injury prone now. He is not equipped to win with this roster. Was he equipped in 2020 run when the roster was 7-0 and they were cooking all cylinders? Hell yeah. Zach Ertz and company and DeAndre Hopkins, they were awesome. James Conner scoring 20+ touchdowns. This is not like anybody who can go and point back to 2 years ago with Colt McCoy and saying, yeah, that's what you're going to get. It's not. He's older now, and this roster has deteriorated. You need to be much more, specific, much more diligent on filling this backup quarterback role. And maybe they have somebody else in mind. I have not heard of that person. Maybe they could start a rookie like DTR from UCLA. But man, it's going to be difficult because they're going to roll out new uniforms, presumably. And they're going to get people excited about the season. With all due respect to Colt McCoy and David Blau, I don't want to see any part of that come September. I want somebody else.
Yeah, Kev, thanks for the 199 super chat, echoing that, actually saying that just before you said it. Got a weird feeling that we're going to draft DTR from UCLA.
Just play him if you do. Just play.
We're gonna do our first mock draft. We're gonna do a live mock draft here at the end of the show. Maybe DTR makes our draft board. Look, he told Johnny at the combine that he talked to the Cardinals. He had a formal interview, didn't he? It wasn't even one of those informal circumstances.
No, they met one-on-one with the Arizona Cardinals. Yeah. Well, I asked him point blank. I said, "Have you talked to Monti and Gannon and Arizona Cardinals?" He said, "Yep, we had a formal meeting."
All right, so that's not just meeting in
buddies.
the hallway in Indy.
Yeah,
that's
like
hanging out, breaking bread, hanging out, talking to JG and Monti Ossenfort. So we'll see. The quarterback position. It is one of those where it's like you get excited about like the new regime, and you're like, okay, but as far as what the quarterback play is going to look like, but at the same time, Colt McCoy was not put in the same setup for success as he was the previous season, right? I mean, he was playing behind a patchwork offensive line. I know they're running it back with 3 of the 5 returning starters, and hopefully that they'll make it through training camp and preseason a little bit healthier and be ready to go. And they've certainly flooded that offensive line with numbers. And JG even mentioned that he thinks that they could go, via the draft to find their center, but rookie center shouldn't inspire right out of the gates confidence either. But it's exciting that they'll find somebody to couple with Kyler for a while. But man, it's
this is a good comment here I want to get to real quick.
Yeah.
We talked about this on our audio-only podcast Sunday night. Go check it out if you haven't already. Decimus M. Plus, Kyler can't come back to another broken line. Disaster. And I posed this question to Bo on Sunday night. What happens to the Cardinals' offensive line as the season progresses? It becomes more and more ass. It's worse and worse with each passing month, right? So if you're Monti Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon and K1's chomping at the bit and it's Halloween or whenever it is, and you're looking out there and Will Hernandez is on IR and Humphreys is living in the training room and it's only Kelvin Beachum, right? You got some rookies in and out of the lineup. Are you going to be confident trotting out Kyler Murray off an torn ACL with a new offense? I think you have to play him because of the amount of money you're paying him. But the offensive line in September could look dramatically different in November for the worse. I hope not. But when was the last time we've got a Cardinal offensive line that got better as the season went on? It doesn't happen. No. And we're talking about maybe a rookie center and a rookie left guard, and you've got a bunch of tackles in flux, and where's Josh Jones going to play? That concerns me. That concerns me that they would just say, you know what, Kyler, it's not worth it, brother. It's not worth trotting you out there to the Wolves. We're a couple games under 500. This offensive line stinks. We're just going to wait. I hope that's not the case, but that's a reality this team has lived my entire life. Yeah,
it's unreal how futile the offensive line has been since they moved to the desert. It's been brutal. I mean, as you said so eloquently, it's ass, right?
It's ass.
Jonathan Gannon thinks differently. He's told me on 2 separate back-to-back days when I talked to him yesterday and today. He has a lot more confidence in that group, and there's about a dozen of them right now. I think somebody asked in the chat, like, how big is their roster now? It's 63. So there are 27 players underneath the 90 that they'll have going in the training camp. But 12, they've got a dozen offensive linemen, and then 3 guys returning, and Will Hernandez, your 2 tackles, and then you've got Josh Jones, who's your swing. That Gannon said he can compete. Everybody's going to compete to start, so they're going to go with the best 5 guys. Right now, you've got 2 guys with center experience, and Yelda Frodeholt, who comes over from Cleveland, but he can play a couple different positions. And then you've got Howard, who they signed earlier this offseason, who barely played in his NFL career, spent some time in New England. So, they're familiar with these guys. Dennis Daly, they're familiar with him. But as we know, the production isn't there. Like we saw 17 games of Dennis Daly. Titan fans got into my replies, even when I just reported that the Cardinals signed him and said he's the worst player in the NFL. So, it's as far as inspiring hope that they're going to protect Kyler Murray, it's not there yet. But you look at the group right now. You got DJ Humphries, who I feel like you can rely upon when healthy. Josh Jones has played some decent tackle, especially backing up DJ Humphries and Kelvin Beachum. Will Hernandez has been serviceable, at least in pass protection. You wish you could see a little bit better as far as run blocking. And you really got to figure out the center position, because that was a big hole for this team last year in the absence of Rodney Hudson. So if you add a rookie center, and then you add maybe a somewhere guard tackle position, I think it looks immediately a lot better.
But all the players you just named, like, nobody's great, and that's the problem.
Sure.
And that's
I think that's where if you trade down in the third pick and you're looking at a Paris Johnson, I mean, that's somebody who has potential, right?
Yeah, John Michael Schmitz, if he gets to 34, the kid from Florida, the kid from TCU, they love the center from Ohio State. Take one of them, take multiple, because as Bo just outlined, the offensive line, you're hoping DJ Humphries can get you through the year. Yeah. You're hoping Will Hernandez can be serviceable for the year. Beacham's on a 2-year deal, but you could move off of Beacham after into next offseason. No one's going to hamper you. But yeah, I mean, that's the only unit where I'm like, man, you might need to go sign a starting center. Like, I know he's not worried about it, but like, if Ben Jones can check out physically and he doesn't have concussions, like, get him in the building. Because again, I don't want Kyler Murray, but potentially not favoring his knee, but it's in his head. Like, I don't want him trotted out there with some sieve of an offensive line. So, and yeah, let's not speak of Rodney Hudson retiring and then unretiring. But listen, it's not his fault. Cardinals should have just been like, goodbye, Rodney, and moved on, and they did not do that. Let's move on to DeAndre Hopkins. Because you had a chance to connect with JG. He, of course, said his piece about D-Hop. Where do you think it stands right now? And do you really believe Jonathan Gannon thinks he's going to be on the team?
I mean, Jonathan Gannon's starting to say the right things, because I think he understands that as far as negotiations, as far as real legitimate traction for DeAndre Hopkins, getting a one-way ticket out of Arizona with some draft capital coming back this way, it feels pretty far from it, right? Because you've got the battle of the insiders and their sources and what their sources are telling them. I mean, you've got Jeremy Fowler saying Monty's digging in for a second and some change. And then you've got, Albert Breer saying that some teams are waiting for the Cardinals to just outright release him. So there's no middle ground there. And I think that it seems like they're far from a deal. They're letting DeAndre Hopkins and his representation go talk to teams and see if maybe some teams or his representation can talk somebody into saying, hey, this going to be 31-year-old wide receiver who's played half the games the last 2 seasons, he's still got it. He still has the juice, but and also he's making a ton of money. Is he willing to? Could the team talk to his representation and say, hey, are you willing to restructure, or are we willing to do something here to make a deal? And you say you want to win and put that on your resume. Let's talk. But otherwise, it becomes tough, right? So I think Jonathan Gannon is just preparing for DeAndre Hopkins to be on the roster, and this is basically he's echoing what he said on Sunday. He did it today. Here's what he said.
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm operating under the premise that Hop's our starting X, and people are going to have to defend him. So, that's probably a better question for Monty. But he's been great, and I'm looking forward to getting to work with him too. So, if everyone has a jersey right now, I'm looking forward to coaching and fitting them all in together. Yeah, I mean, he's just a unique player. He can win one-on-one over and over and over. So you got to account for that as a defense. And then, from an offensive perspective, that if he's singled out there, you can throw it out there to him, and he could probably win most of those one-on-ones. So, very valuable asset for us.
Does Josh Jones have a
Yeah, he was the DB's coach with the Colts when DeAndre Hopkins was with the Texans, so he saw him twice a year. He's very familiar with DeAndre Hopkins' game, and he's saying all the right things because it doesn't seem like this negotiation is going anywhere. So,
yeah, and we've got Tim Graham, who covers the Bills on a daily basis, saying, barring a significant development, the Bills are not trading for DeAndre Hopkins. But then, of course, you've got Greg Bedard, who covers the Patriots, saying, yeah, they're still on Hopkins. They could trade for DeAndre Hopkins. So again, I think you take all this with a grain of salt with these teams, like the Kansas City beat reporters, like, yeah, they're probably not going to trade for DeAndre Hopkins. It's like, does anybody really know? No one knows for sure until somebody comes out and blatantly trades for him, or the Cardinals say we're going to keep him and they don't trade him. Everybody's in on D-Hop, but we know the major players, and the major players are in once they feel like they can get the better of the deal. Once somebody can feel like they're going to win the trade. And Bruce Nolan came out today. He gives a lot of good insight and says, I can imagine, Bo, DeAndre Hopkins getting traded during the NFL draft. Draft picks have a tendency to be more heavily valued by those receiving them when they can imagine the player they would take when the picks are getting them. And that's exactly what took place with Trent Williams once upon a time, where he got traded on draft weekend for a couple of thirds from the San Francisco 49ers. So while we all would like some conflict resolution as it relates
to a third and a fifth.
Yeah, it was it was a ridiculous underpay.
It was basically Washington got a fifth, because if they let him walk via free agency, they probably get a comp third, right?
Yeah.
So they got
I think they had to give, yeah, that's true. But I mean, the Cardinals, it's the scenario in which, who did they cut once upon a time and then they didn't get any compensation for it? Tyrann Mathieu. Once upon a time, made the egregious decision to cut Honey Badger, and then he goes and signs and becomes a champion elsewhere. The Cardinals and Steve Keim had nothing to show for it. They're not cutting DeAndre Hopkins. Let me repeat that. They're not cutting DeAndre Hopkins. That's a crock of shit for anybody who thinks that's actually going to happen. What they're doing right now is everybody's playing the stalemate waiting game of who's going to blink first. Is it going to be Ossenfort? Is it going to be Brett Veach? Teams want DeAndre Hopkins. We know that definitively. But teams do not want to pay the second plus that Monti Ossenfort is asking for. They're taking the same approach with the third overall pick, because I have it sourced. Multiple teams want to come up to pick 3. That's not news. Everybody knows that. I feel like our fans and supporters of PHNX Cardinals 222 leave a like. You guys are super educated. There are teams that want to come up. The Cardinals are going to get a trade down for pick 3. But the way Ossenfort is opting to handle this is very similar to what he's doing with D-Hop. He is telling everybody, take a breath. I'm going to get the best offer at the best possible time for me and the Cardinals. And to sit here and think that he's sweating this Hopkins scenario out, I just don't think it's happening. I think he's telling people it's a second plus, eat grass, kiss my ass. You're not getting him for a 5th round pick. And I know there's a lot of snark on Twitter as it relates to the Hopkins saga of like, well, they would run if they got a 2nd round pick for him. Let's just pump the brakes. I feel like everybody is overreacting to the fact he hasn't been traded yet, and there's conflicting reports every day, and nobody seems to know where he's going, and that makes people uneasy, because we can't say you go here and you go here, and everybody's tapped into it. But I sincerely do believe this is Monti Ossenfort putting his stake in the ground of, I'm a hard-ass general manager. I'm not giving away my assets, the few that I have.
Right. Yeah, if you want to go win a trade, if you're looking for an uneven deal where you feel like you got the best of a general manager in this league, you're not going to get it dialing my number, right? I mean, it's got to set the tone, because he's got to set the tone not only with this fan base, with his first major deal for this organization, but also with GMs around the league, that they know who they're dealing with here, and somebody that's going to be fair and looking for equal value in return. And right now, he doesn't feel like he's getting it from teams calling on DeAndre Hopkins, and there's been teams that have been calling since the trade deadline of last season. Let's do our mock draft. Let's get into that conversation, but first let's talk about some OGs. OGs brands, of course, Arizona's top cannabis kitchen. It's just like PHNX. It's woven within the fabric of this great state of Arizona. We do it with sports. They do it with cannabis, but we like similar things, like having a great time. We like to add flavor to life, add flavor to your dreams, just like they do with the nighttime gummy. It's Aquaberry. It's that sleep edition. If you're up at night wondering when this D-Hop deal is going to go down, well, don't lose any more sleep over that. Get that Aquaberry Sleep Edition gummy, CBN to THC 2-to-1 ratio. It will flavor your dreams, help get you to sleep, keep you to sleep. You're looking for something else, looking to spice things up. So they've got products for everything. They've got the new strawberries and cream. That's the 2-to-1 ratio for CBD to THC. It's the happy balance gummy that I think everybody can get on board with. It's not going to just completely take you out of it. Everybody's had some, or most people have had, bad cannabis experience, where you feel like you're tripping and you
We
feel
all
like
had
you're
that.
going to be the first person to die from an overdose of THC, and you call the cops and they say you are a loser. Don't have that. Don't have that experience and you won't with OGs. Check them out. Check them out online, ogsbrands.com, and of course on your socials at ogsbrands. Check out the new strawberries and cream Happy Balance gummies. They're live on the shelves in your local dispensary. Got to be 21 years or older to enjoy as well.
It's mock draft time, and guess who's on the controls?
Let's
Your
go.
boy. All right, so first time, not the last time if things go well, we're going to do a 7-round mock draft. Now, I want to preface this all by saying we're going to use PFF Mock Draft Simulator, and we're only going to allow for 1 trade down in this scenario from 3 to whatever we all decide is the best course of action. We did a mock run-through earlier before the show, and we were just taking all the picks, and then it took forever. And so we're going to do 1 trade down. I'm going to present my screen here. If we could, keep me honest, Bo Brack and company, if we can get this going here. I'm sharing my screen now. Can everybody see the fine folks at Pro Football Focus?
It's loading. There it is. Let's get this thing going.
We got 7 rounds. The Arizona Cardinals. We are ready to enter the draft, the mock draft simulator. Hell yeah. Okay, first pick. Starting it up right now. We're not trading up. Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson.
What the hell's going on? CJ Stroud's on the board?
He is, but you know what? We're on the board to make a trade. Vegas, they're aggressive. They want to come up. We're going to give them pick 3. We're going to get pick 7. Now it becomes interesting, Bo. Got to have pick 38.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got to have the 1 next year. Wow.
Ooh, this is crushed
they're balking at that. I don't like it. Do we want to talk to somebody else? Do we want now the Bears aren't trading up. We got to make it work with the Raiders.
Okay.
We want to go.
Take that second out of there. Got to get the future first, right?
They're not offering it. They don't. I got to have pick 38 if I'm doing this.
Okay. You need it for this year.
I need it for this year. I think we offer this trade, and it's only a 29% chance. Offer the trade. They took it. All right.
Oh my God, that's good. They went up to Mark Davis. He had the bowl on his head. He was getting his hair cut, and he said, "Let's sign on for this. I need CJ Stroud in silver and black. Just win, baby." Just like his dad said. I love it.
I love it because the Raiders also asked next year. We're going to have another top 10 pick. You love to see it, and we got pick 38. All right, we're rocking and rolling with the 7th pick. In the 2023 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select who, Bo? I think the main candidates,
That's
Tyree
right.
Wilson, Christian Gonzalez, maybe a Skoronski. What are you thinking here?
I think I'm going with the top 4'3" defensive end, the enormous wingspan at 6'6" out of Texas Tech. Give me Tyree Wilson. We know the Cardinals like him.
Let's do it. And by the way, word on the street is they just hired a head trainer from where Texas Tech. He can work on that foot, right? We're drafting Tyree Wilson 7th overall, and we have pick number 38 and a future 1. Hot damn. Monti Ossenfort is cooking. Here we go. And again, this does not have a eventual DeAndre Hopkins trade, but now we got to get serious, and we got to get serious about the offensive line. I think it's staring us right in the face, Bo. DeJuan Jones, tackle. Okay, I think he's a first-round prospect. What say you? You like that pick?
I mean, you've got your 2 tackles right now in Kelvin Beachum and DJ Humphries, both over 30 years old. Of course, you'd like to maybe get after that interior of the offensive line, like guard or maybe center. But if you got a prospect the caliber of Jones, I don't have a problem with it. I might look at the defensive line still. I know that Tyree Wilson gives you a big boost, but what did we see from Mike Clay's rankings? The Cardinals, they're just brutal across the way there.
I don't want to force a pick. We're looking at a steep drop-off here. I know you love the kid from Wisconsin. I don't think the value's there. We're looking for value. Remember, at premium positions, doesn't get more premium than offensive tackle. Plus, you might be able to play this kid at guard for a year.
Right. What's our center options right now? Did John Michael Schmitz go off the board? Or is he still available? They've got him ranked pretty low. They don't have him close to they got him pretty far down there. So you wouldn't
you could take one of these 2 guards at pick 38. Remember, we're picking again in 4 spots.
Okay. Let's go with the tackle from Ohio State.
I like the
Ohio State.
What is going on here? I'm messing this up here. All right. I got to think you take this kid. Do you look at doubling down? You taking all another offensive lineman here, Bo?
you either look at you're in the trenches right now. Monti Ossenfort's digging his hands in the dirt and he's licking the trenches. And I think you either go for your center of the future or you go with somebody on the defensive line.
I just don't think the D-line talent is there. I think you look at that maybe at the start of the third round. I'm taking
Avila.
Let's look at the interior one more time. We've got John Michael Schmitz. We've got Luke Whippler, who they love.
You know they like Whippler.
Let's make it happen. Luke Whippler, the center from Ohio State. Again, not to knock John Michael Schmitz, but we know the Cardinals seemingly are infatuated per Tony Pauline. So now we've got 3 big heavies to start the day. And hot damn, pick number 66. What do we do here, Bo? I still don't see. This is the problem because Jalen Carter was supposed to be the guy for the Cardinals, and then his situation happened, and now we're kind of seeing the shortcomings in this draft. I don't see a lot of quality defensive linemen.
Right. Yeah, it's as far as the edge, it's a deep class. As far as the interior, there's some intriguing prospects like Gervin from Florida. But everybody in the chat is up in arms that we haven't addressed the defensive secondary. What are our cornerback situation look like?
When I'm seeing, I told producer Sean this, when I see corners from Syracuse, I get a little bit concerned. Tomlinson looked good in the Fiesta Bowl. Williams is the 49th ranked player. You guys vote in the chat. Ricks, Tomlinson, or Williams. That's who we're going to take right now. Pick 66.
We're going with the kid from the Orange, I believe.
Let's do it. Garrett Williams. Let's do it. ACC, concerning, but hopefully it pans out. He's got some size. Defense. The first time we go defense since Tyree in the first round. Premium positions, Bo. O-line, D-line, cornerback. Hot damn. Here's our second. This is our 96 pick. This was the comp pick for one Christian Kirk. Do we want to get a little spicy here? Go running back?
What do we have for defensive tackle?
Oh, geez. All right.
Come on.
So I'm going D-line.
Let's pay attention to this position here.
We want somebody under Sark, Moro, Jomo, as I butcher his name, or Kobe Turner from Wake Forest. I think those are your 2 options here. You want the kid from Texas? Should we learn a little bit more about him? Let's see how he did against Alabama, Bo. I'm scrolling down here. Not terrible, 62.5, but he ate. He ate against the rest of the Big 12. What do you think? Look at his stats here.
I'll pass. What do we got? Still need some. If you want to dabble, look at maybe some running backs, maybe a wide receiver.
I like Tank. I took Tank in our earlier
I like Tajay Spears too, but that's a reach in this position.
It is. I think Tank is the play. SEC kid, big, physical. I think would be a nice compliment to somebody like James Conner. Very solid production in the SEC. I remember him specifically in this game against Ole Miss, absolutely torching them. He's a bell cow.
They talk about, who's going to be the first player to wear 0. Why not a guy named Tank, for the Arizona Cardinals? 0 number, compliment to James Conner. I want it. Let's sign me up.
I love it. And then you can say, yeah, the Cardinals are tanking 2023 because they got Tank. Am I right? Top of the 4th round here. Do you force?
Johnny, we need some beef. Yeah, KJ Henry, interesting defensive end.
Like him.
You're moving to 4-3. Are guys like Majay Sanders and Cameron Thomas going to be able to play that edge for you? And
this
new
kid
system?
They're saying can't play 4-3 defensive tackle. They're saying he's a 5 technique.
Okay.
I'm going to go KJ Henry. I like where you're at.
Okay.
This guy's got some length. You can never have too many pass rushers. We're going to keep this party going here. Cardinals are getting, you know what we're doing right now, Bo? We're getting better. We're getting way better. Next pick 168. Man, we might need to trade down again in real time because this is a hell of a wait. This is the first time we've had to wait the entire time. 168. I'm going to say we need to force a defensive lineman pick here. Do we not?
Either I like where Elver's going. Maybe look at the quarterbacks. You look to improve that room a little bit because we talked about David Blower earlier in the show. Colt McCoy being your option.
DTR is still available.
Yeah, let's wait. Okay. What do we got for wide receivers? Need a little size in the wide receiver room.
Okay. This is where receivers should be drafted for this franchise. This kid out of Fresno State, Jalen Marino Cropper, also Bryce Ford Wheaton. Good time to draft a kid with 2 last names, I guess. Ronnie Bell, that's a name a lot of people know. Jake Bobo out of UCLA.
Let's go back to the beef. I made a mistake.
Okay. You've made a huge mistake. D-line here. We got to force a D-line pick.
Yeah. Kid out of
Listen.
Coastal could have he's been decent.
Let's look at the metrics here. Projected
Saw him in
best.
the senior bowl.
You did? Okay, let's look. First look is the last look because he doesn't have anything. All right, let's scroll down here. I can't even get. I'm going to be lying to you if I know how big this kid is. 6'4", 334. Let's roll the dice. We got to take somebody. And projected position rank 138. I think that's some value. You're gonna need a couple lottery tickets, right? On day 3.
Mm-hmm.
Pick 180. What are you thinking here? Aiden O'Connell, Purdue. He's scrappy.
So you got 2 Purdue. You got 2 Boilermaker quarterbacks in your quarterback room.
I don't hate that. Are we just going to use our last
Go
pick
back to corner.
Let's see here. Keep this party going.
I think linebacker you could start to look at this point. I think that you're not going to get
a linebacker.
PTSD from Keim days.
Ooh, Miller from Florida. I remember this kid on Saturdays. Let's look at him here. Good stuff against everybody but Florida State and Georgia. Dominated Utah. That's not bad. Let's look at his size. 6 foot, 232. I'm going to pull the trigger. Value pick for the Cardinals. Miller, the linebacker out of Florida, and fled that position group with cheap options. I like it. Let Simmons walk, pay Miller nothing for the next 4 years if he's a starter for you. As the Cardinals end their draft with a couple more picks here. This is a 6th-round pick. Aiden O'Connell still available. I don't know what that says for this quarterback class. Would you roll the dice on potentially a quarterback or
the chat's going interior offensive line? They let's take a look at who's available right now.
The kid from Troy, Louisville, the center from Oregon. We already took a center.
The DT we got from Coastal got dominated by the center from Troy, but then we addressed the center position already.
We did, but let's take a guard. Let's go with the highest rated guard. I'm saying this kid from LSU, Anthony Bradford. Let's get a profile look at him. I bet he's not small if he goes from LSU, he's from LSU. Not terrible. Dominated Auburn. Who didn't dominate Ole Miss? If you're looking at Ole Miss, 6'4", 332. Again, I'm rolling the dice. Anthony Bradford, guard, LSU. And again, don't worry this much about 6th and 7th round where they're ranking. Guys are all over the place. Are they undrafted? Do you have a 2nd, 3rd day grade on them? We're just having fun here. And our last pick, do we have any more picks? I think that was it. I don't think the Cardinals have a 7th. So now we're going to be able to look at this amazing draft class. Let's see what kind of grade we got. I would imagine our grade is going to be pretty solid.
It's going to look like the team report cards, I think, unfortunately.
No. We stole the Raiders. Remember, we got the Raiders' 1st-round pick next year. Come on, PFF. What do we got here? Our grade is a A. Yes, love it. The trade we got, A-, Tyree Wilson, A+. Didn't love our offensive line picks here. I disagree with that. I think Whippler's a good choice. Just a lot of beef.
We basically got Ohio State's offensive line.
I have no
Tyree
worries.
Wilson up front. You got Tank Bigsby
against Georgia.
Yeah, not bad.
You know what I like about this? Outside of the Coastal Carolina kid, Syracuse was scrappy this year. SEC, best team in the ACC, SEC, best team in the Big 12 outside of Michigan. I mean, really, the only kind of question mark is you're taking with the first pick a kid with a foot out of the Big 12 that had 7 sacks. Yeah. But if you do it in a scenario, Bo, where you're getting pick 38 and you're getting a top pick next year in 2024, chef's kiss. All right, you guys grade our first official PHNX Cardinals mock draft.
Don't let them do that. Yeah, don't let the chat grade it. No,
we're going to have to do that again. Have I stopped sharing? I don't know what.
Yeah, you did. You did. Okay. A lot of people like Christian Gonzalez in that spot, and I don't disagree. I mean, if you are going to go with that premium position, a pair of premium positions, you get an edge guy or a cornerback. Christian Gonzalez, 6'2", is that athletic as they come. He's got ties to the Cardinals organization. I'm not going to argue with that. I like either one of them.
F-, Edward
I love it. Corey knows exactly. A+ in all of our hearts. No doubt about it.
I want future ones. I want to not recognize this roster in 18 months. Do I need to share my screen and show you the Cardinals depth chart right now? They need everything. Now, I'm with you, though. If you feel like Christian Gonzalez is that much better of a prospect than Tyree Wilson, I would agree with you. I think he is a better prospect, but I think Tyree Wilson plays a bigger position of need for the Cardinals. I just don't love cornerback over impact defensive lineman. That's just me. Now, Christian Gonzalez could turn out to be the next, what do you call Patrick Surtain? And if the Cardinals pass on him for a guy who's hurt in the Big 12, that's going to be a tough look. But
yeah,
give me always Kime Johnny V. Oh, Arizona Animal. What's that about? I'm not loving that. We're going to do that again every couple of weeks, maybe every week leading up to the NFL draft. So push the like button if you want us to keep that going, because that's a lot of fun, Bo Brock.
Yeah, that was a good first mock draft. We'll probably every Tuesday. Let's make the appointment every Tuesday. Final segment of the day. Yeah. We'll do it. You can come roast our draft. Yeah. Maybe that's just the seg right there. Roast our draft, our mock draft. Johnny just firing away like late night text to your ex. Just on SEC players.
Lyman in the fifth. Let's go. Love you guys, and check out gophnx.com, promo code HOWARD. Howard Balzer cranking out articles. We've got a big event this weekend. Come hang out with us at BetMGM Sportsbook, 2 p.m. for a watch along with our friends at PHNX Suns. And get this, if you're a diehard, you're going to get 20% off for the event. Again, free PHNX merch when you place your first bet, food and drink specials, exclusive giveaways. Watch every game on the gigantic, enormous TVs. I'm going to be out there. I'm going to bring my son. We're going to have a good time. Maybe some bags on the lawn. Mm-hmm. We're bringing the vibes to State Farm Stadium. We're trying to get some good juju going with State Farm Stadium before next season. I don't know if you guys have known this. They've won one home game in almost 17 months. So we're trying to bring the offseason wins with our friends at BetMGM Sportsbook. And there's no better way. Pair BetMGM with our friends at gophnx.com. Pick up a tee from the merchandise locker for free if you sign up right now to become a diehard. Bo's got the lid. I've got the tee. We're having a great time. BetMGM. You can't go wrong with that.
Nope, you can't. And read Howard Balzer's great work. He was at the annual league meetings this week along with myself, and I'm sure he's got a banger of an article coming out soon at gophnx.com. Check it out. Sign up to become a diehard. Use that code Howard and get signed up. Just get in on some exclusive content that we also have on the website as well.
I think we missed a super chat. Lil Dreezy, our friend of the program, $4.99 super chat. I read an article. Arthur Smith said they're rolling with Ritter this year, Desmond Ritter. I don't think we can trade down with them. We watched Desmond Ritter last year. He beat the Cardinals, but did he really? The Cardinals were, very much beating themselves at that point. I would say if you're Arthur Smith and you're trying to get good grace from Atlanta, you want to try to hedge your bet with a rookie quarterback to extend your window as the head coach.
What Cliff Kingsbury was saying at this time about Josh Rosen.
He's our guy.
He's our guy, right? Arthur Smith announcing Desmond Ritter would start 2023 as their starting quarterback. Okay.
Desmond Ritter could start games for them, but Anthony Richardson would be breathing down his neck, I would say. They're not, in my opinion, they're not on the same level. Great question, though. I think, as we saw in the mock draft simulator, Vegas, Atlanta, Detroit, Tennessee, all these teams are going to – Indianapolis would have loved to have gotten a trade offer from Indy, but Cardinals are going to trade down. It just depends on who for what cost. And at some point, they're going to get a D-Hop trade done. But in the meantime, like and subscribe to the PHNX Cardinal Podcast wherever you get a podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. It very much helps. Share this podcast around all the metaverses, the YouTube algorithms of the world. Like this video. Not sure if you guys have seen it. We've been dropping shorts on the reg. So if you scroll and you see one of the shorts, hit that like button, comment. Let us know what you think. We're back at it tomorrow. More Cardinal news hopefully coming our way. In the meantime, he's Bo Brock. I'm Johnny Venerable. Have a great night.